Now we're on the home stretch. We've really already gotten through the tough stuff. But a few words on these last few categories. So education usually comes at the end of a resume. That's traditional. But if you're recently out of school, which all of you will likely be, and you have little practical experience, maybe that's the case with you or maybe not. But in these cases, your educational credentials are more of a primary asset. So they should probably appear near the beginning of the resume. Perhaps you want to flip the order here and present the education before you present your professional experience. Just a few notes. It's normal to abbreviate degrees, so know the proper abbreviations for your degrees. List scholarships and awards. This is particularly important if you are recently a graduate. You may also wish to list your majors and minors. Now, there's a little bit of controversy over this, but I would go with what you're thinking, where you are in your career. So if the majors and minors are relevant to the position that you're applying for, and I assume they're going to be, and you're recently out of school, it's probably best to list your majors and minors. If, however, you feel like maybe they're not quite in line with your target job, then just leave them off. Make sure that you're listing any professional accreditations. Any accreditations that you might be in the middle of acquiring, that's perfectly legit. But make sure that they are suitable to the posted job. Also consider listing ongoing professional education. So again, things that may not be complete, but you're working towards. Perhaps this might be professional training courses or seminars of some sort. This really speaks to a professional competency and demonstrates that you have a commitment to your profession. Professional associations, organizations, affiliations. You want to keep this to the affiliations or organizations that reflect the job position. So I went through a few in my lecture last week. These kinds of organizations like the IABC or CPRS, or if you're applying for an editing job, then Editors Canada, those kinds of organizations, those are the ones that I'm talking about. Make sure that the ones that you're placing in there are relevant to the job position. Also make sure that you're not including religious, political, or otherwise potentially controversial affiliations unless you're certain that knowledge of that company assures that such affiliations would be positively received and be relevant for whatever reason. It's possible that if you have sat on a board or you've had some sort of involvement with a charity or nonprofit, something like that might be quite valuable as part of your resume. Fundraising work, activities of some sort, and this is particularly the case for communicators because if you can align your communications with these kinds of volunteer opportunities, then that will help to build your resume, particularly at this point in your career. So be thinking about that. It might be that you want to include things like publications and public speaking engagements, perhaps languages beyond English that you know. All of these can look quite good on a resume, depending, particularly for communicators. Publications and speaking engagements can show that you are well-rounded and that you have additional experience in these areas. They might be what make you stand out above your peers. Again, depending on the job description, of course. I would avoid extracurricular interests unless they directly reflect something that the particular job posting is looking for. If they support a job posting or they support your other qualifications, sure, but otherwise leave them off. You don't need to show your future employer what a well-rounded human being you are. They will try to get a sense of that in the interview. So listing a bunch of extracurricular interests can really take up space in a resume. And I think I mentioned that in another lecture. This placing a line about references available upon request. First of all, the resume is not a place to list your references unless your potential employer has asked for them to be listed there. Generally, we just don't do that. References are given later on in the process. Is it necessary to make that statement, references available upon request? Not really. I mean, if you've got extra space on your resume, you can go ahead and do that, but it's not necessary. So if you're trying to conserve space, I would just leave it out. It's not as expected as it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago. So that's about all I have to say for now about resumes. I do want to make a quick note. Again, I used some of the material from Knock 'em Dead Resumes, as well as some of the material from the Resume Writing Guide, 2nd edition, a step-by-step workbook for writing a winning resume by Lisa McGrimmon. So if you're interested in those resources, they're both quite good. And then, of course, I referenced the Ultimate Job Search Guide that you have. Do make sure that you've read through those chapters on resume writing. They're all very good, and Yates is quite good at delivering that information concisely. So there's excellent stuff in there. I will place more resume templates in your resume templates folder so that you've got more to look at. Begin putting your information together. This will take some refining, and you're going to be doing this over the course of the term, but get started now.